Trumpism? Well, let's use the Cabrini candle after all. Peace, love, sex, magic, live to end Trumpism. So excited about this. Excited about the end of Trumpism. Excited about the aspect of the pillow revolution that involves love and sex, and peace is the thing that I feel like, in the same way that love and sex are taboo subjects, peace is a taboo subject in American culture. And so I want to fix that in the same way that the new TikTok rules are keeping people from talking about Epstein or Trump or Israel, Zionism. Like, we can fix that by talking about it here instead. And just by talking about the things they don't want us to talk about, we should be able to fix a lot of stuff. So, peace, love, sex, magic. And the last time I did this, I forgot to put peace in the title. This time I wonder if I remember to put pillow revolution in the title. But anyway, I think peace is as much a thing to talk about as anything else, because I know I get disgruntled sometimes, and I'm like, oh, you're going to take a peaceful protest instead of doing something more something? And I'm like, no, I genuinely believe in that. I think peaceful protest works and will win, and it can be like entirely peaceful. Like, the more peaceful, the better. A lot of people are just urging for a general strike. Well, what's more peaceful than sitting in bed, like not doing the things you used to do? So there's that aspect of the pillow revolution that I end up betraying in my own like anger. And again, I'm not going to say don't support people who do more active forms of protest. Support them too, but if you want to support them from bed without putting yourself in any type of risk, if you want to support them on your phones, there's actually a magnitude of um, amplification to that. There's different types of amplification of things. There's the amplification of being another person there with your phone to film an event. There's the amplification of being another person in a large crowd. There's the amplification of what you feel when you're in a large crowd. I definitely appreciate, the physical protest that people do. But I feel like, since my contribution for years has been the advocating the pillow revolution, like a totally nonviolent protest, and that's not organized, that's not, you know, that phrase hasn't even really caught on. It's not like, it's a thing. But if I believe in it, and I do, I can make it a thing. And by making it a thing, I think, if I take responsibility for this aspect of it, then we can make it a thing. And it's just a matter of, use the hashtag Pillow Revolution for your own stuff. But it's a matter of just, let's do this completely peacefully and show the world and learn from the world, demonstrate to the world what a completely nonviolent, peaceful protest looks like and can do. And then do it again. Once we do it here, there's plenty of other places we can do it. So we're going to do it here, in the name of America, in the name of like all sorts of things. But then it would be wrong, once we finish overthrowing the Trump and the Trump here, it'd be wrong not to help overthrow Putin and Netanyahu and other Orban and anybody else who's signed up for Trump's Board of Peace, for instance. I think if we're talking about that, we let people know, hey, that's the way the world's going to go. The world's going to overthrow these tyrants, and we can largely do it from bed. Like, we can do this from bed here in America, I think, with just spreading good ideas. Automatic citizenship for everyone ICE contacts. Really, that's one of the main ones. Automatic citizenship for everyone ICE contacts. And what the real consequences for the traitors is going to be, though. what the real consequences for Trump Putin years is going to be. We can talk about that. One thing I think is really important to talk about at this time is the military siding with the citizens. Like, siding with the citizens is kind of even a incorrect way to put it, because they've swore an oath to the citizens, the country, the Constitution. So that's on the side of the citizens already. They're already sided with the citizens, but they're going to be put in the uncomfortable position of being ordered against the citizens, given illegal orders, which they have to choose to disobey, against the citizens. And we'll see them come over to the citizen side. Maybe a few at first and then the rest. Maybe most of them at first and then the rest. I like to say that the rest of them will say, "Oh, I was just tying my shoe. I'm coming over to that side of the street too." So, thanks for being here. These are some of the topics I wanted to discuss. But the title of the live: Peace, Love, Sex, Magic, Ending Fascism, Ending Trumpism. Jesus is from the goddess. Jesus is pro-sex, pro-immigrant, of course. That's why we have the Mother Cabrini candle, patron saint of immigrants. And the aspect of the Pillar Revolution of sex and love overthrowing fascism is just because fascism is so far against sex and the feminine and humanity, and those are such core things about humanity, sex and love. And so by emphasizing those things, by just talking about those things that they make it taboo to talk about, then we win. We defeat them, especially if we do it with magical intent. So the same is true for like spiritual things. But the purpose of this live is sex, love, and peace. Peace being the taboo subject. You're in a war economy that relies on war. And so it's like peace and love and sex are all taboo subjects. Since we have like two or three, do we just have two or three Trump Hooteniers in chat? Who have you read on the subject? Who do you recommend? It's an interesting question. Who have you read on the subject of peace or sex or love or magic? Or which subject were you specifically asking who I've read? You're not a Trumper, that's good. So who do you recommend reading? Yeah, but I think this is the way of ending fascism with love and sex. I call it the Pillar Revolution, or one aspect of the Pillar Revolution is what we can do in bed. And of course that includes, talking on our phones, but it also includes having actual physical relationships with people and being in our human bodies for whatever bodies we're in, even for a reason. No. Julius? Never heard of him. I've heard of Blavatsky. I've never heard of Blatsky. Welcome to the live, though. I'm just talking about ending Trumpism with sex and love and magic and peace. Peace is the one it's hard to even remember sometimes. Okay. So it's interesting how like people who don't really understand basic solidarity comes within, same with love. Peace comes from within, same with love. Well, you can't have none of this. No, I mean, yeah, and also, people can express love to each other, and people can share peace with each other. People can choose peace, even when you're choosing anger or hostility. Others can choose peace. Like, There's ways that other people's peace and love can affect you from outside. But I agree that peace and love do come from within. We should make more peace and love within ourselves. Like, I made a choice to add peace to the title of the live, because the last one, it went okay. But it was like, I thought about it after I started. Oh yeah, peace is one of these things. Peace is a topic like sex and love that they don't really allow us to talk about. Oh yeah, this live is not going to be one of my usual lives because I don't have as much time. I probably have to shut it down in about 10 or 20 minutes. You can't have love lest you love yourself. Well, and how much can you love yourself? Sex is to be sacred. Well, yeah, isn't everything sacred? What doesn't what doesn't need to be sacred? You know? If something doesn't need to be sacred, what do you need to be doing it? Isn't that the um like the test of things? I don't know. Let me know if there's an example of that I'm missing. But sacred doesn't mean taboo and you can't talk about it. Think about it. When you cede the discussion of sacred things to evil people, all you're going to get is an evil and false religion and evil and false spirituality. No. But you know who is a virgin? Because BMX Dude asked if I was a virgin. You know who's a virgin is Nick Fuentes. So beneath, what's his name? Trump, Donna Kupitensky. Beneath Donna Kupitensky, you've got Erica Kirk leading the Zionists and Christian nationalists. You've got Nick Fuentes leading the Groypers. I just posted a video about this. Those are the two branches of Trumpism. The Nazis and Klansmen under Nick Fuentes, the Virgin, and the Zionists under Erica Kirk, the couch fucker. Like the couch. Nick Fuentes is a Fed. Skippy says Nick Fuentes is a Fed. I mean, you're all terrible fascists, aren't you? Because isn't that what you guys are, is terrible fascists? Let's talk about Nick Fuentes being a Fed, though. Go ahead and elaborate. No, actually, we're going to be shutting down the live shortly. So go ahead and elaborate on the discussion that you brought up. Nick Fuentes is a Fed. Tell us more. So Nick Fuentes leads the Groyper wing of the Trumpism. Erica Kirk leads the Zionist wing. Like the public faces of those wings of the Trumpism terrorist network. Who's Jake Lang? Oh, dude, that guy doesn't count. That guy who got barely escaped going to Minneapolis to be a Nazi. So look, there hasn't been any consequences for any of these Nazis yet, right? Like, can anybody think of consequences? Like, yeah, Nikki Fuentes, Tyronika Begum's Minaj losing followers or something. There haven't really been any consequences. That's going to change things when there starts to be consequences. Maybe I should mute some Trump-Butineers in the chat just to set that example. But the point being, we defeat them with magic, love, peace, sex. Okay? We can defeat a lot of them just by getting them to stop being who they used to be, Trump-Butineers, by getting them to freaking have sex for the first time the way they're actually, meant to do it. Like, they repress all their homosexuality into following Nick Fuentes. So if they just were gay, openly and happily and freely, without any, fear or homophobia, if they were just cured of their homophobia, then there's no reason to follow Nick Fuentes. Like, Same with like Christians on the right, and I don't know what Zionist excuse are, but like Christian nationalists on the right are all extremely sexually repressed people. Like again, Erica Kirk is their symbol. So why not just fix that? Why not teach them how to fix their problems? Stop being fascists. You know, they want white people to fix white people's problems, right? Well, this is a white people's problem, right? Like being bad at your sexuality, isn't that a white person problem? So why don't we fix it? Why don't we fix these people that are following? And it's not like it's, there's all different types of people who follow Nick Fuentes or Eric Kirk or Trump, but they all need fixing, and the fixing they need, regardless of which side they're on, still comes down to like they need their sexuality fixed. They need to like not be ashamed of being gay. Like that's pretty much it. Like peace and love rules the day. What is that? That's like a quote from a song, isn't it? You from Indiana? It's a good guess. Indiana is an American state. So yeah, peace and love rules the day. Oh yeah, isn't that Led Zeppelin? Anyway, thank y'all for being here. We'll probably shut down the live. We're probably about halfway through. We'll shut it down in about 10 or 15 minutes. Okay. So the problem with being afraid of gay people is there's nothing wrong with being gay. Okay? So there's no reason to be afraid of gay people because there's nothing wrong with being gay. And if you're afraid of gay people, it's probably just because you're gay. And there's nothing wrong with that. So there's nothing to be afraid of. Like you're afraid of yourself. Like you basically got a mind turned against itself. And there's nothing wrong with, there's no reason for you to be turned against yourself. You can just become whole. Then you'll be okay. Well, exactly. That's what Nick Fuentes' problem is. I mean, it's not his only problem, but it's part of Nick Fuentes' problem. And then the problem with people who are willing to follow somebody who has that problem, it becomes extremely problematic. Okay, that's good. At least you're not like that homophobic. That's fine. It's just kind of like a weird way to announce yourself. And like anything you agree with Trump on in any way whatsoever, you should avoid and do the opposite of. There's nothing Trump says that's true. And I won't try it on you. Just stop. You can do those things and not be a Nazi, dude. Like everybody does those things without being a Nazi. Like you really shouldn't be able to play video games and be a Nazi because other people play video games. You might have contact with them, and then you might try to like rub your Nazi off on them. It's gross. You have to protest the tyranny. Doctor Who Where says. Yeah, and we're all doing that in different ways. I call it the Pillow Revolution because we can do a lot of it from bed. And the sex and love part has to do with what we can do from bed if we're lucky. But peace too, just staying in bed, relaxing. So I probably better go. I probably better get to work. But thank y'all for being here. It's nice to see some of you again for like the 4th or 5th time. So thanks for coming back. My grandfather used to hunt Nazis like Skippy. All our grandfathers did. That's what's so sad about it. That's another reason why, sex and love got us here. Sex and love is the reasons why we're here. And yet we betray that. Not only by being when people are total Nazis and they betray sex and love itself, but they betray the sex and love that produced them from their ancestors who fought the Nazis. Like most all of our ancestors fought the Nazis. Some people's ancestors were the Nazis. And that's, nothing, that's not nearly anything to be ashamed about compared to some people who's inherited Nazism themselves by their choice, for the most part, by accepting Nazi beliefs. That's far worse than having an ancestor who was a Nazi. Y'all know something, capitalist? Let me know what it is. Yeah, dude, all of our grandparents were Americans. All of our grandparents fought the Nazis. Like, I don't know why that's news to you. Trump's mad about it. Trump's trying to, like, dismiss and negate, erase the Europeans who helped America do that, or that America helped do that. Like, he's wrong. He's mad his side lost. He's still mad his side lost. Ultimately. You didn't say anything, dude. You said you want to know something, and then you didn't say anything. Why don't you say anything? Dude, you guys are betraying your grandparents by supporting Trump. Trump's a Nazi. Your grandparents fought against him. Except Will left some trans people take some pipes to you, Skippy. What you said, capitalist, was, and honestly, shame on you for calling everybody who doesn't agree with you a Nazi. That's not what I'm doing. I'm calling Trump boutonnieres Nazis because that's what they are. They're also Klansmen. Like, would you like it better if we just call you a Klansman? Trump boutonnieres are Klansmen. You're all Klansmen. You're a terrorist, white supremacist organization. Klansmen. It's probably more accurate to call you Klansmen. Trump boutonnieres are the last Klansmen. The last iteration of Klansmen in American history. Yeah, you are. What do you mean you're not a terrorist? Like, of course you're a terrorist. You don't hate the KKK. You're supporting Trump. Like 3 comments ago, you're supporting Trump. Like, sorry. Yeah, and you're saying Trump's not a Nazi. Dude, sorry. But you don't hate the KKK. You're just supporting and defending Trump. You just defended Trump by saying he's not a Nazi. Is he not Nazi enough? Are you one of these people who you're a Nazi and you hate the KKK for not being whatever, German or something? Like, but you're an actual Nazi, and that's why you hate the KKK? Which one is it, dude? You don't agree with him, but you also don't recognize that he's a Nazi. You don't disagree with Trump enough to realize he's a Nazi. It's like, have you ever had sex? Let's change back to the topic of the conversation. Have you ever had sex or been in love? Have you ever had a moment's peace in your life? Do you believe in peace? Do you know what peace is? Have you ever experienced magic? His grandmother told him not. Doctor Who Wetware says, my grandmother told me not to chase money. What did yours tell you, capitalist? Okay, capitalist believes in peace. Okay, great. Do you believe in peace and quiet? So yeah, I'm going to shut down live because I wasn't supposed to go live more than about 25 minutes. Okay. Sorry about your grandma. Sorry about your grandma. It's 37 these days. 37 is the number they keep. Killing Alex Preddy and Renee Nicole Good. That's the age they kill people at these days, 37. 27 was popular with like Jim Morrison and Jimi Hendrix and Janis Joplin and people, I think. 37 is popular with American Hero Martyrs. So, rest in peace to Alex Preddy, gun owner, American hero, martyr, who owned a gun. was killed for owning a gun. Rest in peace to Renee Good, car owner, American hero and martyr, who owned a car, was killed for owning a car. Good luck to all car owners and gun owners out there until we end up finishing the Trump regime. Sorry we couldn't get more good conversations in the chat. We will next time. So now that TikTok shut down, that's going to backfire on them. We're going to have good people back on YouTube. That'll be good. I'll be able to block the fascists. We won't ever have to hear from them again. Skippy, hopefully the last time I'll ever have to hear from you. You could switch it up and stop being a Nazi Klansman, and then you'd be allowed to speak again. But just keep your last sentiment in mind. That life is worth living, even if you can never talk here again. But you could stop being a Nazi, and then maybe you could talk here again. Just your choice. Bye, everybody. See you guys next time.